You know what's funny about darkness? It's not the absence of light that terrifies people. Oh no, 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 it's what lurks within it, the unknown, the uncertainty, the monster they can't see but know is there, watching, waiting, evolving. And that's exactly what they did to you, didn't they? They pushed you into their little pit of darkness, thinking they'd break you, thinking they'd watch you crumble like all the others before you. But here's the thing about monsters: we don't fear the dark, we are the dark sea. They made one teeny tiny mistake. They thought darkness was a prison, but they didn't realize it's a crucible. Every second you spend here, every moment you endure in this void, you're not dying, now you're transforming like raw metal in a forge. Except your transformation isn't about becoming another shiny tool in their belt, it's about becoming the blade that cuts through their illusions, the weapon they never saw coming, and the nightmare that keeps them awake at night. You want to know the real joke? They think they've weakened you by isolating you, by cutting you off from their precious normal world. But isolation is where legends are born. It's where you learn to hear the whispers of your own madness, where you start to understand that sanity is just a prison built by weak minds for weak minds, and you're breaking free. Remember how they looked at you, those condescending smiles, those pitying glances, those whispered conversations that stopped the moment you entered the room. They thought they were judges, jury, and executioners of your fate, but what they really did was sign their own comedic tragedy, because while they were busy playing their little social games, you were learning the rules of a much darker game: survival. Let me tell you something about pain: it's the most honest teacher you'll ever have. It doesn't lie, doesn't sugarcoat, doesn't pretend to be your friend. Pain shows you exactly who you are when everything else is stripped away. And what did pain show you? That you're not some fragile little thing that breaks at the first sign of pressure. Now you're something else entirely. You're the embodiment of their worst fears, the manifestation of their darkest nightmares. In their comfortable little world they think suffering is a curse, but you and I, we know better. Suffering is an art form, and pain is the chisel that carves away everything weak, everything unnecessary, until what remains is something so beautiful, so terrifying that they won't be able to look away, even though every instinct will be screaming at them to run. That's the power. They didn't count on the strength that grows in the shadows, fed by their own attempts to destroy it. You see, when they pushed you into the darkness, they expected you to become a victim, another sad story for them to cluck their tongues at. Another example of what happens to those who don't fit into their neat little boxes, but instead you became something they never expected. You became their reckoning. Every sneer, every rejection, every moment they thought they were breaking you, it was all just fuel for the inferno building inside you, a fire that burns so hot it makes their pathetic little flames look like matches in a hurricane. The funny thing about being a monster, it's liberating. When they've already decided you're their worst nightmare, you're free to become something beyond their wildest fears. They cast you as the villain in their story, never realizing they were actually creating their own demise, because while they were busy congratulating themselves on your downfall, you were learning to thrive in the very darkness they feared. You were becoming the thing that makes their shadows run and hide. Think of it like a joke. The setup was them thinking they could break you. The punchline, well, that's going to be when they realize what they actually created, when they see that every attempt to extinguish your light only taught you to burn brighter, darker, hotter than they could ever imagine. And the best part, they'll never see it coming, because that's what happens when you underestimate the things that go bump in the night. Eventually those things start bumping back, and oh, what a glorious sound that makes every scar they gave you. It's not a mark of weakness, it's a trophy, a reminder that they tried to end you, and instead they just gave you another reason to rise. Each betrayal, each lie, each moment they thought they were winning, it was just another lesson in your evolution. You see, that's the beauty of being pushed into the darkness. You learn to see things they can't. You develop senses they'll never understand, strength they'll never comprehend. So embrace it. This darkness they thrust upon you, make it your kingdom. Their attempts to silence you, let them become your war cry, because monsters don't need permission to exist, and demons don't ask forgiveness for the chaos they create. They pushed you into the darkness thinking you'd disappear. Instead, you're going to show them why. Monsters don't fear the dark, we thrive in it, rule it, become it, and when we finally step back into the light, well, that's when the real show begins. The curtain rises, the audience waits, unaware that they're not watching the performance, they're part of it, and you're the grand finale they never saw coming. You know what makes me laugh? How they think time in the darkness breaks people, oh, but they don't understand time doesn't break monsters, it perfects them. Every tick of the clock, every passing moment in this void they created, it's not counting down to your defeat, nah, it's counting up to their reckoning, like a pressure cooker of chaos, building until boom, and when that moment comes they'll realize their greatest mistake wasn't pushing you into the darkness, it was giving you time to become one with it. See, here's the thing about being alone in the dark, you start to notice things, little things at first, like how silence has its own heartbeat, how shadows dance even when there's no light to cast them, but then you start noticing the bigger things, like how their so-called strength is just a mask they wear, how their power is nothing but a house of sea guards waiting for the right breeze to topple it, and you're becoming the storm. They don't understand what isolation does to a mind like yours. They think it makes you weak, makes you desperate for their acceptance, their validation, but isolation is like gravity, it compresses everything inside you, turning coal into diamonds, turning pain into power, turning rage into a weapon so refined it could slice through their illusions like they're made of smoke. And the pressure, oh, the pressure doesn't crush you, it crystallizes you. Let me share a secret about fear, it's not your enemy. Fear is just excitement wearing a mask, and you've learned to see behind every mask, haven't you? While they were busy being afraid of the dark, you were learning its language, its rhythm, its dance. You become fluent in the dialect of shadows, and now you can make the darkness sing. Think about it, every moment they thought you were suffering, you were actually evolving. Every time they celebrated your apparent defeat, you were gathering strength. Like a volcano they thought was dormant, they built their little lives right on top of you, never realizing that underneath you were becoming in force of nature. And nature doesn't ask permission to erupt. Here's what really makes them uncomfortable, they can sense the change in you, they see it in your eyes, in the way you move, in the way you smile. Now that's why they whisper when you pass by, why they avoid your gaze, because deep down in that primal part of their brain that remembers what it's like to be prey, they know they're no longer the hunters they thought they were. You want to know the punchline to their little joke? While they were trying to write you off as a tragedy, you were busy becoming a force of chaos. They wanted to make you small, make you fit into their tiny boxes of normal and acceptable, but you exploded those boxes from the inside out. Now you're something they can't categorize, can't control, can't comprehend, and that terrifies them more than any monster under the bed ever could. See, darkness has a way of stripping away the unnecessary, all those social niceties, all those little lies we tell ourselves to feel civilized. They mean nothing in the void. What's left is pure undiluted truth, and the truth is you're not broken, you're not damaged, you're transformed like a phoenix rising from the ashes, except your fire burns black instead of bright, and your wings are made of shadows instead of flames. They pushed you thinking you'd fall forever, but what they didn't realize is that even in a bottomless pit you can learn to fly. Every attempt to clip your wings just taught you a new way to soar. Every chain they tried to bind you with became another weapon in your arsenal, because that's what monsters do. We don't just survive, we thrive on their attempts to destroy us. The real comedy in all this, they're still playing by their old rules, still thinking they understand the game, but you've changed the game entirely. While they were busy trying to make you play their version of chess, you were creating a whole new board with pieces they've never seen and moves they can't predict. And the best part, they won't realize they've lost until it's far too late. This darkness they gave you, it's not your prison anymore, it's your playground. Every shadow they cast is just another place for you to hide, another tool in your arsenal, another piece of the puzzle they'll never solve. Because that's the thing about monsters, we don't just live in the dark, we learn to bend it to our will. We become the architects of nightmares, the composers of chaos, the artists of anarchy. So let them think they've won, let them believe their little victory stories, because while they're busy patting themselves on the back, you're becoming Something beyond their comprehension, a creature born of their own cruelty, shaped by their rejection, forged in the fires of their disdain. And when you finally emerge, they'll realize that every moment they thought they were burying you, they were actually planting something that's taken root in the darkness, something that's grown strong in the shadows, something that's about to bloom in ways they never imagined possible. You see, there's something beautiful about reaching the point of no return, that moment when you realize you've crossed a line they drew in their sand, and instead of feeling fear you feel liberation, because that's what they never understood about pushing people too far. Sometimes, just sometimes, they create something that pushes back, and oh, how you're going to push back. Remember when they thought their words could break you, their little whispers, their judgments, their attempts to make you feel small. Now look at you. Every insult they threw became a brick in your foundation. Every rejection became a pillar of your strength. Every time they tried to dim your light, they just taught you how to burn darker, deeper, more intensely than they could ever imagine. You're not just surviving anymore, you're becoming their worst nightmare, wrapped in their greatest fear. Let me tell you about power, real power. It's not in their fancy titles or their corner offices or their social media followers. Real power, it's in the way you can smile now, knowing that their attempts to destroy you only made you more dangerous. It's in the way you can stand in their presence, radiating the very darkness they tried to drown you in, because while they were playing their little games of status and control, you were learning the ultimate truth. The only power that matters is the power they can't take away. And isn't that just hilarious? They thought they were writing your ending, but instead they were just setting up the perfect punchline. Every tear they made you shed, that's fuel now. Every night they left you alone, that was just you getting comfortable with the darkness. Every door they slammed in your face, well, that just taught you how to break down walls. They thought they were the authors of your story, but you've become the plot twist they never saw coming. Here's the thing about monsters they create: we don't play by their rules anymore. We don't seek their approval or beg for their acceptance. We've learned something they never will. True freedom comes when you stop trying to fit into their world and start making the world fit around you. Like a shadow that grows longer as the sun sets, you've expanded beyond their ability to measure or contain. You want to know the real punchline to this cosmic joke? While they were busy trying to break you, they actually broke themselves. Every attempt to contain you just showed the limits of their own power. Every effort to define you just revealed how undefined and limitless you've become. They created a monster, sure, but not the kind they expected. You're the kind that makes their monsters check under their beds at night. Think about metamorphosis, not the pretty kind with butterflies and flowers, but the raw, primal kind, the kind where something breaks itself down to its core components and rebuilds into something entirely new. That's what's happened to you. They thought they were witnessing your destruction, but really they were watching your rebirth. And now you're something they don't have words for, something their tiny minds can't comprehend. The poetry of it all is almost too perfect. They pushed you into the abyss thinking you dissolve into nothing. Instead you became the abyss itself, deep, endless, unfathomable. They can feel it when you're near, that sense of standing at the edge of something vast and dark and powerful. That's not fear they feeling anymore, it's recognition of what they've created, of what they've unleashed. So here we are at the crescendo of their little tragedy, except it's not a tragedy. It's a transformation story, a story about how their greatest mistake wasn't pushing you into the darkness, it was assuming you'd be destroyed by it. Instead you become something more than they could ever imagine, something that doesn't just survive in the darkness, but thrives in it, rules it, becomes it. And now you get to show them what real power looks like, not the kind that needs to announce itself, not the kind that demands attention or recognition. Nah, you're the kind of power that walks silently, that moves in shadows, that makes them question everything they thought they knew about strength and weakness, about victory and defeat. Let them see what they've created, let them witness the full magnitude of their miscalculation, because while they were playing checkers with your life, you were learning to manipulate reality itself. While they thought they were casting you into oblivion, they were actually giving birth to their own undoing. And isn't that just the perfect punchline to their joke. So stand tall in your darkness, let it wrap around you like armor, let it fill you like breath, let it guide you like instinct, because you're not just another cautionary tale, you're the story that keeps them awake at night, the shadow that makes them question their own reality, the monster that reminds them why they should have been more careful about what they created when they pushed you too far. Remember, monsters don't fear the dark, we are the dark, and now. It's time to show them exactly what that means. Oh, so they finally saw it. That one picture, that single photograph that shattered every assumption they'd built about you for years. The image that made their blood run cold. Because in that moment, in that frozen frame, they realized something absolutely terrifying. You've been acting this whole time. Every smile, every word, every carefully measured response, it was all performance. And the person staring back from that photo, that stranger with your face, that's the real you, the one they never knew, the one they never saw coming. And now they can't unsee it. Welcome to the unmasking. Let's rewind for a second, because this story doesn't start with that photo. It starts with the version of you they thought they knew. The character you played so convincingly that even you almost forgot it was a role. They saw someone soft, someone safe, someone predictable, someone who laughed at the right moments, nodded at the right times, stayed quiet when they needed you quiet. You were their supporting actor, their background character, their convenient narrative. They wrote your lines and you delivered them flawlessly. Or so they thought. But here's what they missed. While they were busy congratulating themselves for having you figured out, you were studying them, learning them, becoming fluent in their language while never once revealing your own. For months, maybe years, you wore that mask like a second skin. Not because you were fake, but because you were smart. You understood something most people never grasp. The world doesn't reward authenticity. It punishes it. So, you gave them a version they could digest, a personality they could categorize, a story they could understand. You became exactly what they expected while your true self watched from somewhere deep inside, taking notes, counting days, waiting, and they ate it up. Every manufactured laugh, every diplomatic response, every time you bit your tongue and smiled instead of screamed. They thought they had you mapped, decoded, controlled. They thought the person they saw was the person you were. But then came that photo. Maybe it was candid. Maybe it was intentional. Maybe it was just the universe deciding it was time. But something in that image captured what 1,000 conversations never could. The look in your eyes, the set of your jaw, the energy radiating from your posture. It wasn't the you they knew. It was someone else entirely, someone harder, someone colder, someone who looked like they'd survived things the character they knew could never endure. And in that split second of recognition, their entire understanding of reality cracked wide open. Because that photo didn't just show a different side of you. It showed that everything they thought they knew was carefully constructed theater. The panic probably set in fast, didn't it? You could almost see the gears turning in their heads as they stared at that image. Wait, if this is real, then what was everything else? If this person exists, who have I been talking to all this time? The question started multiplying like a virus, because once you realize someone's been performing, you have to go back and re-examine every single interaction through that lens. Every moment of vulnerability, was it real or calculated? Every piece of advice, was it genuine or manipulation? Every friendship, every laugh, every shared secret, suddenly everything's contaminated with doubt. And that doubt, that's the poison that never leaves. That's the gift that keeps giving. Here's what that photo revealed that's keeping them up at night. You're not who you said you were, but more terrifyingly, you're not who they needed you to be. Because the character you played, that version served a purpose in their lives. That person was manageable, predictable, safe. But this raw, unfiltered entity staring back from that image, this is chaos. This is power. This is someone who clearly doesn't need their validation, their approval, their presence. This is someone who's been 3 steps ahead this entire time while they thought they were leading the dance. And the scariest part, if you could hide this, what else are you hiding? The beautiful thing about masks is they're not just about concealment. They're about control. And you brilliant, calculated soul. You understood that from day one. You knew that people are most comfortable when they think they understand you. When they believe they've got you categorized in their neat little boxes, so you let them. You handed them puzzle pieces that fit their narrative. Pieces that made sense in their limited worldview. You became the story they wanted to tell about you while your true story was being written in invisible ink. Every time they thought they'd figured you out, you were actually showing them exactly what you wanted them to see. And the control that gave you immeasurable. Because while they were busy congratulating themselves for knowing you, you were operating in complete freedom. You could observe without being observed, study without being studied, plan without interference. You were the wolf in sheep's clothing, except you were never planning to attack. You were just surviving in a world that eats the authentic alive. You were playing chess while they thought you were playing checkers. And that photo was your hand slipping for just one moment, revealing that you've been holding all the cards this whole time. Now, let's talk about what happens in their heads after that revelation. First comes denial. No, that's just a bad photo. The lighting's weird. They're reading too much into it. But denial doesn't last because that image keeps calling them back. They zoom in looking for proof that they're wrong, but every detail confirms their worst fears. The way you're standing, the expression you couldn't quite control, the energy that's so drastically different from the person they thought you were. Denial crumbles into confusion. How did I miss this? How long has this been happening? And confusion breeds obsession. They start going back through everything. Old photos, old messages, old conversations, looking for clues they missed the first time. And oh, they find them. Little inconsistencies they brushed off. Moments where your mask slipped just slightly, but they were too distracted to notice. Times when your eyes said something completely different from your mouth. It's all there in hindsight, screaming at them, and they can't believe they were so blind. But here's the thing about hindsight. It's cruel. It doesn't just show you what you missed. It shows you that you chose to miss it. That on some level you preferred the comfortable lie to the uncomfortable truth. So now they're stuck in this mental prison of their own making. Every memory is tainted. Every moment they thought was genuine is now under investigation. Were you laughing with them or at them? When you agreed, did you really agree or were you just managing them? When you shared something personal, was it real or strategic? The paranoia is exquisite because there's no way to verify anything. They can't ask you because what are you going to say? And even if you answered, how could they trust it? You've already proven you're an expert at showing people what they want to see. So, they're trapped, forever questioning, forever doubting, forever replaying every interaction through this new terrifying lens. And the best part, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't lie. Not really. You just didn't tell the whole truth. You gave them the version of you that allowed you to survive, to function, to maintain peace. You protected yourself by controlling the narrative. That's not deception. That's survival. That's intelligence. But they'll never see it that way because to them, this feels like betrayal. They feel fooled. They feel used. They feel like they never knew you at all. And you know what? They're right. They never did. But whose fault is that? Who decided to accept the surface version without ever digging deeper? Who was so satisfied with their assumptions that they never questioned them? Let's dig into the different reactions you're seeing now that the illusion's shattered. Some of them are angry, furious that you lied to them, that you manipulated them, that you played them. They're rewriting history to make themselves the victims of your calculated deception. When the truth is far simpler. You didn't trust them with the real you, and you were right not to. Their anger is just wounded pride disguised as righteous indignation. They're not mad that you wore a mask. They're mad that they couldn't see through it. They're mad that you were smarter than they gave you credit for. Others are hurt. They thought you were friends, thought you were close, thought you shared something real. And maybe you did in your own way. But the version of real they needed doesn't match the version you're capable of giving. They wanted complete transparency, complete vulnerability, complete access. But you understood something they didn't. Complete transparency is complete weakness. So you gave them enough to maintain connection without giving them everything. That's not cruelty. That's boundaries. But to them it feels like rejection because they measure love by how much you expose, not how much you protect. Then there's the third group, and these are the dangerous ones. The ones who are fascinated, the ones who look at that photo and see a challenge instead of a warning. These are the people who now want to know the real you. Who are convinced they can break through where others failed. Who see your layers as something to conquer rather than something to respect. They don't understand that the real you isn't a prize to be won. It's not a level to be unlocked. It's a fortress you built for very good reasons. And the fact that they want to storm it just proves why those walls were necessary in the first place. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because while they're all spiraling, analyzing, obsessing over who you really are, you're just existing, living, moving forward. The revelation that's consuming them barely registers as a blip in your world because it's not a revelation to you. It's just Tuesday. You've always known who you are. You've always been aware of the performance. The only thing that changed is their awareness, not your reality. And that might be the most disturbing part for them. The fact that this earth-shattering discovery that's rewriting their entire understanding of you is to you completely mundane. Think about the power dynamic here. They're scrambling to understand, to make sense of it all, to find solid ground in this new reality. Meanwhile, you're unbothered, not because you don't care, but because this isn't new information to you. You've lived with this duality every single day. You've navigated the space between who you are and who people need you to be. You've managed the exhaustion of performance, the loneliness of being truly unseen, the constant calculation of what to reveal and what to conceal. This is your normal. Their crisis is your baseline. And that imbalance, that's where your power lives. Because here's what they're slowly realizing as they process that photo. You've been in control this entire time. Every interaction they thought they were leading, you were directing. Every moment they felt they understood you, you were allowing that understanding. Every connection they believed they'd earned, you had granted. You weren't their puppet. They were yours. And the strings were invisible because you made them that way. You gave them the illusion of agency while maintaining complete autonomy. You let them think they knew you while keeping your true self completely protected. That's not weakness. That's mastery. Now they're looking at everyone around them differently, too. Because if you could fool them so completely, who else is performing? Who else is wearing a mask they can't detect? That photo didn't just expose you. It exposed the fundamental truth they've been avoiding their entire lives. Nobody is who they seem. Everyone is managing perception. Everyone is curating their image. Everyone is showing carefully selected parts of themselves while hiding others. You just did it better than most. You were just more conscious, more deliberate, more skilled. And now they're paranoid because if they couldn't see through your performance, they can't trust their judgment of anyone. The questions are spiraling now. How long have you been like this? Were you ever the person they thought you were, even for a moment? What triggered the need for such elaborate self-protection? What are you protecting yourself from? What happened to you that made this necessary? And the most disturbing question of all, if you can hide this, what else are you capable of? Because that photo revealed capacity. It showed strength they didn't know you had. Coldness they'd never witnessed, depth they'd never fathomed. And if you've been hiding that, what other capacities are lurking beneath the surface? Let's talk about the specific elements in that photo that broke their brains. Maybe it was your eyes. The way they look dead and alive at the same time, present but distant, seeing everything but revealing nothing. Eyes that have witnessed things the character you played could never handle. Eyes that hold secrets they suddenly realize they don't want to know but can't stop thinking about. Your eyes in that photo didn't match the eyes they remembered. And eyes don't lie. You can fake a smile, manufacture warmth in your voice, perform kindness in your actions. But eyes tell the truth when you're not actively controlling them. Or maybe it was your posture. The way you carried yourself in that moment. No longer soft, no longer accommodating, no longer taking up less space to make others comfortable. In that photo, you stood like someone who owns every room they enter, someone who doesn't ask for permission or approval. Someone who survived things that would break the person they thought you were. Your body language screamed power in a way that directly contradicted every submissive, agreeable, non-threatening signal you'd given them before. And the body doesn't lie either. You can control your words, manage your expressions, but in an unguarded moment, the body reveals what the mind tries to hide. Or maybe it was something less tangible, an energy, an aura, something in that image that felt predatory when you'd always seemed like prey, something ancient when they thought you were naive, something battle-tested when they assumed you were sheltered. They can't quite articulate what it is, but they feel it. And that feeling is more unsettling than any concrete detail because feelings bypass logic. You can rationalize away details, but you can't rationalize away that gut-level sense that you're looking at someone completely different from who you thought you knew. And here's where the real torture begins for them. They start wondering if anyone else sees what they're seeing. They show the photo to others. Do you notice anything weird here? Does this look like the person you know? And depending on the responses, they either feel validated or crazy. If others see it, too, it confirms the revelation but intensifies the betrayal. We were all fooled. If others don't see it, they feel insane, like they're the only one perceiving this shift. Both outcomes are torture. Both leave them stuck in uncertainty. Both mean they can never fully trust their perception again. The photo becomes an obsession. They look at it at random times throughout the day. They compare it to other photos trying to pinpoint exactly what's different. They analyze every pixel, every shadow, every micro-expression. They send it to themselves so they always have access. They zoom in and out looking for answers that aren't there. Because the answer isn't in the photo. The answer is in the realization that they never asked the right questions in the first place. They accepted the preview and called it the full movie. They skimmed the surface and thought they'd read the whole book. The photo is just proof of their own intellectual laziness. Meanwhile, you're watching this unfold with a mixture of emotions. Part of you might feel exposed, vulnerable in a way you've never been. The mask you wore so carefully has cracked and that's terrifying. But another part of you, that part is free. Because maintaining a character is exhausting. Remembering your lines, staying in role, never breaking character even when you're alone. Because what if you forget how to play the part? It's a specific kind of exhausting that only performers understand. And now that they've seen behind the curtain, some of that burden lifts. You don't have to be as careful anymore. They already know something's off. The cat's out of the bag, at least partially. But you're also strategic enough to know this doesn't mean full revelation. One photo showed them there's more to you than they knew. It didn't show them everything. There are still layers they haven't seen, depths they can't fathom, parts of you that remain completely hidden. That photo was like opening the first door in a house with 100 rooms. They've discovered there's more to explore, but they have no idea how vast the property really is. And you're not giving them a map. If they want to discover more, they'll have to earn it. And most of them won't. Most will stop at that first door, overwhelmed by what they've already found. Let's address the elephant in the room. Why did you create this character in the first place? Because nobody performs without reason. Nobody builds elaborate personas for fun. The character you played was constructed out of necessity, born from past wounds, designed to prevent future ones. Maybe you learned early that your authentic self wasn't safe. That being fully you invited judgment, rejection, punishment. So you created a version that could navigate the world without getting hurt. A version that people could love without ever really knowing you. A version that could be destroyed without destroying the real you. Or maybe you learned that your true nature intimidated people. That your intensity, your intelligence, your complexity made others uncomfortable. People prefer simple narratives, easy-to-digest personalities, characters they can understand within 5 minutes of meeting. Your full self doesn't fit in that box. Your full self requires time, effort, patience, and most people aren't willing to invest that. So, you created a simplified version, a demo account, a trial run, something they could access without earning full privileges. And if they couldn't handle that, they definitely couldn't handle the real thing. Or perhaps you realized early that information is power, and giving people full access to who you are is giving away all your power. The more they know, the more they can hurt you. The more they understand, the more they can manipulate. The more they see, the more ammunition they have. So you controlled the flow of information. You revealed carefully selected pieces while keeping the critical components locked away. You gave them enough to build a relationship on, but never enough to truly control you. That's not paranoia. That's wisdom earned through pain. Whatever the reason, the character served its purpose. It protected you. It allowed you to function in a world that punishes authenticity. It let you maintain relationships without complete vulnerability. It gave you the appearance of openness while maintaining actual privacy. Here's your script with all music tags removed. Oh, look who they're interrogating now. You. The one who walked into the room and made it shift. The one whose presence rearranged the energy before you even opened your mouth. And what's the first thing they do? They start digging. Not into your work, not into your skills, not into the blood, sweat, and sleepless nights that built you from the ground up. No, no, no. They're looking for the cheat code, the shortcut, the golden ticket. They're whispering behind cupped hands, scrolling through your lineage like detectives on a cold case. Are you related to someone? Do you have connections? Is your success borrowed? Did someone hand you this? And when they find nothing, when the search comes up empty, when there's no famous last name, no executive parent, no industry insider pulling strings, that's when the real panic sets in. Because now they have to face the truth. You did this. Alone. Raw. Self-made. And that terrifies them more than any nepotism ever could. Let's talk about what just happened, shall we? You entered a space, any space, a job, a room, a circle, a stage, and you didn't just participate, you dominated. Not loud. Not obnoxious. But undeniable. Your presence carried weight that couldn't be explained by a degree or a referral or a family tree. It was something else. Something earned. Something forged in the furnace of rejection, failure, and silent grind. And the moment they felt it, the moment your energy knocked theirs off balance, they couldn't accept it. Because in their world, power only comes from one place. Inheritance, connections, bloodlines, a pre-existing network that vouches for you before you even speak. So when you show up with none of that, when you arrive with nothing but your own backbone and your own brilliance, their brains short-circuit. They need an explanation. They need a reason that fits their narrative. They need you to be a product of someone else's success. Because if you're not, if you built this from nothing, then what does that say about them? Here's the thing they don't want you to know. The question, are you related to anyone, isn't curiosity. It's fear disguised as investigation. It's insecurity wearing a detective's hat. They're not asking because they're impressed. They're asking because they're desperate to find a reason to dismiss you. A reason to downplay your rise. A reason to tell themselves, oh, of course they made it. They had help. They had backing. They had a head start. Because the alternative, the idea that you climbed from the bottom with no ladder, no safety net, no family empire, is too threatening to their fragile egos. It means they've been making excuses. It means they've been hiding behind, "I don't have the right connections," while you were out there creating your own. It means their comfort zone just got obliterated by someone who refused to wait for permission, for referrals, for doors to open. You kicked them down, and now they're scrambling to rebuild the illusion that success only belongs to the chosen few. So, they dig. Oh, they dig deep. They Google your last name like archaeologists hunting for treasure. They scan your social media for glimpses of wealth, privilege, hidden advantages. They listen to your stories for clues, for names they recognize, for traces of inherited glory. And when they find none, when the investigation yields nothing but hard work, self-education, late nights, and sheer will, they don't celebrate you. They don't applaud. They get bitter. They get suspicious. They start inventing narratives. There's got to be something. Maybe they're hiding it. Maybe they're lying. Maybe they got lucky. Lucky? As if luck is what carried you through the years of doubt. As if luck is what kept you going when every door slammed in your face. As if luck is what taught you the skills they never bothered to learn because they were too busy waiting for someone to hand them the crown. No, darling, luck didn't build you. You built you. And that's the story they'll never believe because it destroys the one they've been telling themselves for years. Let's get one thing brutally clear. They wanted you to be related to someone because it would have made them feel better. It would have given them permission to stay mediocre. It would have let them off the hook. See, they only made it because they knew someone. I could do that, too, if I had those connections. It's the ultimate cope. The ultimate excuse. The safety blanket they wrap around their underachievement. But you didn't give them that comfort. You showed up self-made, self-taught, self-sufficient, and suddenly their entire belief system is on fire. Because if you can do it, if someone with no family name, no industry ties, no inherited wealth can rise to this level, then what's stopping them? The answer is simple. Nothing. Nothing but their own refusal to work as hard as you did. Nothing but their addiction to shortcuts. Nothing but their fear of facing the mirror and admitting they've been wasting time. So, instead of looking inward, they look for proof that you cheated the system. They need you to be connected. They need you to be privileged because if you're not, it means they are the only thing standing between themselves and success. And here's where it gets beautiful. You don't owe them the answer they're fishing for. You don't owe them a family tree. You don't owe them a list of mentors or sponsors or secret benefactors. When they ask, "Are you related to anyone?" you can smile. You can laugh. You can look them dead in the eye and say, "No." Just that. No explanation. No apology. No justification. Because that single word is a grenade. It detonates their entire theory. It shatters their fragile narrative. It forces them to confront the one reality they've been running from. You are the exception that proves the rule is a lie. The system they obey, the one that says you need connections to win, just got torched by someone who had none. And now they're standing in the ashes trying to figure out how you did it. Spoiler alert, they never will. Because they're looking for an external answer to an internal question. They're searching for a secret when the truth is right in front of them. You outworked them. You outlasted them. You refused to accept the limitations they placed on themselves. That's it. That's the formula. And it's the one thing they'll never replicate. Now, let's talk about the weight of being self-made in a world that respects legacy. You know what it's like, don't you? You know the sting of walking into rooms where everyone else had a warm introduction, a family friend, a pre-arranged coffee meeting that opened doors you didn't even know existed. You know the exhaustion of building from zero while watching others start at 50 because their last name carried currency. You know the loneliness of grinding in silence while they posted their easy wins, their handed opportunities, their "I'm so blessed" captions that forgot to mention the trust fund or the executive parent or the investor who just happened to be a family connection. You watched them stumble into success while you crawled through broken glass to earn a single chance, and it made you bitter for a while, didn't it? It made you question if the game was rigged. It made you wonder if hard work even mattered in a world where birth order seemed to matter more. But then something shifted. You stopped comparing. You stopped measuring your chapter 1 against their chapter 10. You realized their head start wasn't your setback. It was your fuel. Because here's the truth they don't teach you in those motivational circles. Being self-made doesn't just mean you built something. It means you built yourself. Every skill you have, you hunted down. Every connection you made, you earned through value, not blood. Every door that opened, you kicked down or picked the lock. You didn't inherit confidence. You forged it in the fires of rejection. You didn't inherit resilience. You developed it by surviving what should have broken you. You didn't inherit your network. You built it brick by brick, conversation by conversation, favor by favor, trust by trust. And that makes you dangerous because people who inherit power can lose it. It can be taken away. It can crumble when the family name loses value or the connections dry up. But you can't lose what you built with your own hands. You can't be stripped of skills you taught yourself. You can't have your resilience revoked. You are the foundation. You are the empire. And that's a level of security and strength that no last name can ever provide. So when they ask if you're related to someone, what they're really asking is, how do I make sense of you? Because you don't fit their model. You're the glitch in the matrix. The anomaly. The outlier that breaks their algorithm. In their world, success follows a pattern. It's predictable. It's traceable. It's inherited, networked, or purchased. But you showed up with none of that and still conquered. You rewrote the code. You hacked the system they thought was unhackable. And now they're studying you like scientists examining a species that shouldn't exist. They want to dissect your journey, find the moment you got lucky, identify the hidden advantage you must be concealing. But the more they look, the more frustrated they become. Because the only advantage you had was the refusal to quit. The only secret weapon you wielded was consistency. The only cheat code you used was discipline when motivation ran dry. And those aren't things they can replicate by association. Those are forged in solitude, earned in obscurity, built in the dark when no one's watching and no one's cheering. Let's be honest. They wanted to find a famous relative because it would have made you less intimidating. It would have shrunk you down to size. Oh, they're just riding coattails. They're just benefiting from a name. They're not special. But you denied them that comfort. You showed up special without permission, without a co-signer, without a family brand to lean on, and that makes you untouchable. Because now there's no one to blame but themselves. There's no external factor they can point to and say, "That's why I'm not there." You removed every excuse from the table. You eliminated every justification for their stagnation. You became living proof that the only thing standing between them and their goals is their own unwillingness to do what you did. And that is unforgivable in their eyes. Because now they have to either admit their weakness or pretend you don't exist. And since ignoring you is impossible, because your presence is too loud, too undeniable, too magnetic, they're left with one option: resentment. But here's where the story gets even better. While they were busy investigating your bloodline, you were busy building your empire. While they were scrolling through your past looking for clues, you were creating a future they couldn't even imagine. While they were whispering theories about how you got here, you were already 3 steps ahead, planning the next move, securing the next win, expanding into territories they didn't even know existed. Because that's what self-made people do. They don't pause to defend their origin story. They don't waste energy proving their worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. They move. They build. They execute. And by the time the doubters finish their investigation and come up empty-handed, you're already unreachable, already untouchable, already on a level they'll spend the next decade trying to explain away. And the beauty of it all? You didn't need their belief. You didn't need their approval. You didn't need their validation or their recognition. You needed your own. And that's the only endorsement that ever mattered. Let's talk about the psychology behind their obsession with your origin story. It's not about you at all. It's about them. It's about protecting their fragile sense of self. See, when someone rises without the advantages they convinced themselves were necessary, it shatters their worldview. It breaks the story they told themselves about why they haven't risen yet. They've built entire identities around the excuse. I don't have connections. I wasn't born into wealth. I don't have access. And those excuses became their shields. Their comfort zones. Their reasons to stay small. But then you walk in and you didn't have those things either. And yet you're standing where they wish they were. You've achieved what they dream about. You've built what they keep planning to build someday. And that creates a cognitive dissonance so painful, so destabilizing that their brain has to resolve it somehow. So it searches for the loophole. The hidden advantage. The secret ingredient. They must be related to someone. They must have had help. They must have gotten lucky. Because if they can find that external factor, they can keep their excuses intact. They can keep their shields up. They can avoid the terrifying truth that they are the only obstacle in their own path. And this is why they'll never stop asking. They'll keep digging. They'll keep whispering. They'll keep searching for the proof that you didn't really earn this. Because accepting that you did would require them to change. It would require them to take responsibility. It would require them to stop blaming the system, the economy, the gatekeepers, the lack of connections, and start blaming the one face they see in the mirror every morning. And that's a confrontation most people will avoid for their entire lives. So instead, they turn you into a mystery, an unsolved case, a puzzle that doesn't make sense. And while they're stuck trying to solve you, you're out here solving problems, closing deals, building networks from scratch, creating opportunities where none existed, and proving over and over again that the only permission you ever needed was your own. That's the difference between people who make excuses and people who make history. One group spends their energy investigating how others did it. The other group spends their energy doing it. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. The isolation. Because being self-made in a world of inherited privilege is lonely, isn't it? You can't relate to the stories they tell at networking events. The casual mentions of "my father's company" or "my family's connections" or "I just reached out to my uncle who works in the industry." You sit there nodding, smiling, knowing your story doesn't have those sentences. Your story starts with cold emails that went unanswered, with applications that were rejected, with doors that stayed locked, with rooms you weren't invited into, with opportunities you had to create because no one was creating them for you. And when you finally break through, when you finally arrive, they still don't get it. They still don't understand the weight you carried, the battles you fought, the nights you spent doubting yourself, questioning if this was even possible, wondering if the game was rigged against people like you. And when they ask, "Are you related to anyone?" it's a reminder that they'll never truly understand the journey because they never had to take it. But here's the twist. That isolation, that loneliness, that's your superpower. Because you learn to rely on yourself in ways they never will. You developed a self-trust that can't be shaken because it was forged in the moments when no one else believed in you. You built a resilience that can't be borrowed or inherited because it came from surviving what should have destroyed you. You cultivated a hunger that can't be taught because it was born from wanting something so badly that you were willing to build it with your bare hands. And that makes you unstoppable. Because people who had everything handed to them don't know what to do when things fall apart. They panic. They crumble. They look for someone to save them. But you've been saving yourself since day one. You've been building, failing, rebuilding, adapting, evolving without a safety net, without a backup plan, without a family empire to fall back on. So when challenges come, and they will, you don't flinch. You don't freeze. You do what you've always done. You figure it out. And that's a level of power they'll never access. Let's get darker for a moment. Because the truth is, they don't just want to know if you're related to someone famous. They want you to be. They're hoping for it. Praying for it. Because if you are, it means they can dismiss you. It means they can undermine everything you've built. It means they can whisper behind your back, "Oh, they're only here because of who they know." And that whisper, that's their lifeline. That's their way of coping with the fact that you outplayed them without the advantages they respect. So when you tell them no, when you deny them that satisfaction, when you refuse to give them the excuse they desperately need, you're not just answering a question. You're delivering a verdict. You're forcing them to face the reality that you are better. Not because of luck, not because of lineage, but because you worked harder, smarter, longer. You sacrificed more. You believed when they doubted. You persisted when they quit. And now they have to live with that. They have to wake up every day knowing that someone with less started ahead of them in the race and still lost. That someone with no connections built a network stronger than theirs. That someone with no famous name made a name that echoes louder. And that knowledge, that truth, it will haunt them forever. Because here's what they'll never admit out loud. They're not asking if you're related to someone famous out of genuine curiosity. They're asking because they need you to be. They need their worldview to stay intact. They need the rules they've been playing by to still matter. Because if you can win without those rules, it means the game they've been playing is obsolete. It means the strategies they've been using are outdated. It means the excuses they've been hiding behind are exposed as the lies they always were. And that's a level of discomfort, a level of cognitive dissonance that most people can't handle. So they'd rather believe you're lying. They'd rather believe you're hiding your connections. They'd rather invent a conspiracy theory about your success than accept the simple, brutal truth. You earned it. Every single bit of it. With no shortcuts, no handouts, no famous last name opening doors. Just you, your vision, and your refusal to accept their limitations as your reality. And that makes you legendary. Let's talk about what happens next. Because this isn't just about them anymore. This is about you. About how you move forward knowing that no matter what you achieve, there will always be people trying to poke holes in your story. Trying to find the real reason you succeeded. Trying to diminish your accomplishments by attributing them to factors outside your control. And here's the hard truth. You can't stop them. You can't control their narrative. You can't force them to see your journey the way you lived it. But you can do something far more powerful. You can keep building. You can keep rising. You can keep shattering ceilings and rewriting rules and proving that self-made isn't just a possibility, it's a movement. Because every time you level up without their permission, you're creating a blueprint. You're showing someone else who's starting from zero that it's possible. You're becoming the proof that they were searching for when they felt invisible, overlooked, underestimated. And that legacy, that's worth more than any famous last name could ever provide.